Good afternoon, folks. What we're going to talk about today is these are my opinions 10 good qualities of a good bait and tackle shop. Like I said, this is purely my opinion for working in one for over 15 years, being in the bait and tackle business for like 20. This is what I like to see, and this is what we're going to be offering in the future when we get our brick and mortar store. But the first thing that's very important, we're going to list here the hours of operation. In our region, there's a lot of charter captains in Southwest Florida, and they like to be loaded up as quick as possible, 5:30, 6 o'clock, be all set up at the ramp by 6:30 and ready to depart by 7 o'clock. So the hours of operation are real important to having a good reputation, developing a reputation. If you're just a mom and pop that's going to open up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, then you're going to miss a key area, your target area with charter captains. So they're not going to be buying their live bait and things of that nature the night before. They might buy a little frozen stuff like chum and things of that nature. But if you have weak hours, let's say you open at 8 and close at 3, or just awkward hours, you're closed every Monday or whatever it is. Basically, if you can be 24/7 and open 12 to 12 and a half hour days, or maybe even longer, then you're going to be successful. So we're going to check that. So you want to have good hours of operation. And then number 2, this gets forgotten about over time, but you really need friendly, my handwriting is terrible, as you can see. You need friendly owners, friendly staff. Nobody wants to walk into any retail business where everybody's grumpy and like it's a burden to be waited on, or like the employees are doing you a favor. So a friendly environment is key. So that's one thing that sounds like common sense, but for whatever reason in the bait and tackle business, after a while, the owners tend to get grumpy, for whatever reason, but they forget their bread and butter is the customer. So number 3, we're going to talk about stock levels. Stock levels are very important, and I apologize for my handwriting. But stock levels, if let's say you use a Rapala XR8 olive green, whatever, and that's your go-to bait, and you keep coming into XYZ bait and tackle and they don't have it, then eventually you're going to seek it out elsewhere. But you don't want to go into a tackle shop or anything and see the place looking barren, like they only order once a month or something like that. So you want real good stock levels. You want to be able to get the hook size you want, the colors you want, the type of baits you want, whatever it is you're searching. It's very important. You can tell a business who cares and is financially sound by them constantly maintaining their stock levels. On this note, I will give grace to some of the shops and retailers that during this pandemic, because a lot of things come from overseas or stuck in port, things of that nature. But things are clearing up now. So stock levels, that's a very important indicator to me when I go into a retail establishment, especially a bait and tackle shop, because I'm constantly scanning to look for good things and bad things. If we had 12 items on this peg hook and it's empty, it's obviously a good seller because you sold all 12. And if you have the peg hook next to it and you have 12 there that are still there, that's probably a bad seller. So what you want, you got to constantly turn over, replenish your good inventory. And people don't want to wait weeks for it. The average fisherman is maybe going, once a month, every 2 weeks, whatever it is. But so they want to have their desired products, as soon as possible, for that trip. So anyway, so the next topic is frozen and live bait. This sounds simplistic in theory, but if you're a bait and tackle shop and people are coming in all the time, a lot of, like I said, the charter captains want to go, leave, your bait shop at 6 o'clock in the morning. They want 100 shrimp, but consistently you don't have shrimp in the morning. That's an indication either the retailer's not ordering enough, the retailer's getting cheap, or same thing with the frozen bait. So you, for the most part, as far as the frozen bait, there's one main retailer in Southwest Florida. It's they go by Bait Masters, but the parent company is called Aylesworth, and they're out of Tampa and also Miami area. But they come around once a week. Usually it's on Wednesdays, so they hit all the stops. So there's a possibility. If the weather was good, there's big rush. It's during season down here, the winter months. That by Tuesday afternoon, they could be out of a lot of frozen baits. But the live bait does get delivered daily down here, all over Southwest Florida. There's several sources for live bait. And when I'm talking just in general, like it could be in the Midwest, wherever this pertains to. It could be minnows, could be shiners, whatever you're referring to. But if they're constantly out, you're not going to want to go back. You have your way of fishing. If you're only going to go out for an hour and a half, but you want 12 dozen live shrimp, you want to be able to get them. You don't want to be hunting all over. You pretty much want to do one-stop shop and get out to your destination and achieve your goals for the day. So we're going to move on to number 5. Number 5 is when I've seen this happen, and for the life of me, I don't know why people don't want to help other people out, but do they share knowledge? Are they sharing knowledge with you? Are they being honest and trustworthy and upfront? So let's say your goal is, I want to catch a snook today. Where can I go? I'll just go a couple miles down the road, anywhere down there. That's not a whole lot of help. If you say, hey, go down to the 4th Bridge, go into the state park and go down about 3/4 of a mile right there on the curve of that beach, you're going to catch a lot of fish in there, and this is what they like. These are the things. But that's somebody you can trust, somebody that's willing to share their knowledge and be cool about it. They're not going to give you, most, if they own a boat or, have GPS numbers or something like that, chances are they're not going to give you an exact reef coordinates, but, you can get some good reef coordinates from them that are common knowledge, for whatever county you're fishing in, things of that nature. So if the staff on hand is willing to share knowledge, then you're, if you've achieved these first 5 things successfully, you're on a good start to a good location. So the next one can kind of get overlooked, but it's very important. So the parking. Okay, that sounds simplistic, in theory, but if you've got a F250 or 350 and you're pulling a 30-foot boat, offshore boat and stuff, you're going to need plenty of parking to get in and out. You just, a single parking spot for a car or a truck is not going to work. You're going to need adequate parking. So that's another thing that ties in with a good bait and tackle shop is adequate parking. And chances are, if it's a good bait and tackle shop, there's going to be several trucks pulling boats, all different sizes. Could people have kayaks, canoes, whatever it is. But, so adequate parking, that's another key factor to look for. We're going to move on to number 7. So number 7 is services. Okay, Gary, what do you mean by services? You know, when I talk about services, what do they provide anything else other than just ringing you up at the cash register? Can I get my line put on my reels? You know, can they do that? Do they have a spooling station? Can they do that for me? Can they put me in touch with a charter captain? You know, do you know a boat detailer? If they can help you with services or anything, you know, that you're gonna feel more comfortable about coming in there. You know, so services are very important. Like I said, spooling station is very important. You know, especially in a busy bait and tackle shop. So anyway, I think that surmises, you know, services for the most part. But anything extra they can do for you to gain your trust, your return, you know, visits and stuff like that, that's a good thing to offer. So this is the next one. This is kind of funny. Yeah, let me try that again. Is it clean and smoke free? All right, sounds simplistic, right? Well, it's not always. You know, I've been in a lot of bait tackle shops over the, you know, several years. I've visited probably 200 bait tackle shops because I like to go in there and see what's good and what's bad. If the owner or one of the employees is a chain smoker and he's smoking 4 packs of cigarette a day and he's not going outside to do it, you know, if they're selling apparel or anything, it's going to have that smoke embedded into the fabric, and you're probably not going to want to breathe that. If you're coming in with kids, you really don't want to deal with that. Nobody wants to go into a dirty environment. So that's another thing you want to look for. So if you've accomplished these first 8 things, then you're headed in the right direction. So kind of touched on this briefly in the one before, but is this bait shop kid friendly? This board's a little shaky. So yeah, terrible handwriting there. Kid friendly. So, you know, is you know, kids come in there, they want to look around, they're kids. They're going to be touching things. Obviously you don't want them touching exposed knives or anything, but you know, are they nice? Do they acknowledge the kids? You know, do they, if the kid wants to use the restroom, are you going to allow him to use the restroom? That part doesn't even, just for adults too. I mean, we all have the same body needs that we do daily, you know. So if someone needs to use the restroom, are you going to offer them the services of your restroom? That kind of ties into the services like that. You know, people, you know, all have the same functions with our body. So anyway, so that's number 9. So the number 10 is this is, to me, a little bit of a pet peeve, but I'll call this hassle-free shopping. So hassle-free shopping. What I mean by that is I'm very, very much, you know, almost 60 years old, so I know how to shop. I'd like to go in and analyze things. If I might be looking for a specific product or whatever, I don't want to be, I'm trying to focus on my needs, my desires. I don't want people kind of like interrogating me. Hey, you know, it's nice to be acknowledged when you come through the door. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, you know, something like that. But if the person is kind of like maybe unintentionally badgering you because, you know, they're like, where are you from? What are you doing here? You know, and they're kind of, you know, I don't like that. But you know, I'm a grown adult, so if I tell you, if I'm looking around, I don't see a cast net, I'm going to ask you, like, do you have cast nets? And they'll say no or yes, we do, but we're out of them right now or whatever. Then I approach the clerk, the retailer, the owner, whoever it is. But if you've met all 10 of these, you know, you got a pretty good location, so you should be happy. Like like I said, the hassle-free shopping. Everybody has their own method for selling and stuff like that. I just pretty much the way I did it. I don't like going and dealing with a used car salesman, you know. So I'll acknowledge people when they come in, and you know, then if they have questions, I'll be there for them. But and here's the other thing, kind of going back to share knowledge. I forgot to mention this earlier, so I'm going to kind of circle around back to number 5. I'll give you an example. You know, I might be on vacation in Southwest Florida once a year or whatever it is, or it could be my first time, or, you know, I may have come from Michigan or West Virginia, who knows. But you're down here and you're buying, let's say you buy $100 worth of stuff, and you have a aluminum stringer, holds a bunch of different fish and everything, and you get to the checkout. This is to me where rather than trying to get a sale, I think it's better to gain trust and educate the fishermen, that's the new fishermen to the area. So 2 problems with a stringer in this part of Florida. If you're using it in saltwater and you have a bunch of fish out there, that's just shark candy. You know, you don't want to do that. So, you know, am I going to try and sell them a $5 stringer just to get the extra $5? Or am I going to educate them on how they can properly, you know, save their catch or what they could do? Chances are, if you do it correctly, you know, they may have a cooler, they may buy a cooler from you, but you know, if you explain that to them, you know, you might also get a nice sale. It's not about trying to upsell; it's more or less just gaining respect. So, and by the same token, in freshwater down here, you don't want to do that either, because let's say you're in a kayak or a canoe and you have that nice, you know, you got 5, you know, nice sized bass, you know, and you're paddling around the water, and all of a sudden Mr. Alligator comes along and snatches that, and he pulls hard. There's a chance, you know, you're going in that bloody mess, that bloody water with the alligator or the shark, you know, whatever scenario applies. So I think we've rambled long enough. Feel free to give us, you know, your comments on what you think is a good thing. I may have missed something here, but I think this encompasses most of it. But once again, we appreciate you stopping in, and our motto is make sure you know your legal limits. So go get your fishing license, know what's legal in your area and things of that nature. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We're going to see you in the next time.